Hi, my name is David Riley, and in just a moment I'm going to show you how a 56-year-old man who had been on blood pressure meds for 12 years, was regularly in a state of hypertensive crisis, had suffered 3 separate transient ischemic attacks, and whose own doctor warned him was just days away from a stroke, stunned the world of medical science by lowering his systolic blood pressure by 105 points and his diastolic blood pressure by 72 points in the space of just 17 days, transforming his health and adding years to his lifespan in the process. And the most amazing thing is, he achieved this remarkable turnaround using a 100% natural and completely safe homemade protocol, which required no medication of any kind. But what might shock you even more is that in just a few seconds from now, you're going to discover that despite what your doctors have been telling you, you don't actually need any medication to control your blood pressure at all, and never did. And you're probably going to become extremely angry once I tell you that the solution I'm about to reveal, which has been based on a world-renowned study into hypertension which has been published in countless peer-reviewed medical journals all over the world, has been deliberately suppressed by greedy and immoral pharmaceutical companies, who make billions from blood pressure meds like ACE inhibitors, angiotensin receptor blockers, calcium channel blockers, beta blockers, and more. And because of this, Big Pharma are doing everything in their power to keep the solution hidden from the very people who need it most. So, I urge you to keep watching, because as I speak, Big Pharma are trying to force me to take down this presentation, because they do not want you to find out that there is a simple and 100% natural way for you to quickly and dramatically lower your blood pressure and transform your health in a matter of days, so that you never need their blood pressure meds ever again. This simple and easy to follow method is based on a bizarre treatment method developed by a cardiologist and hypertension specialist who spent years studying a small and isolated tribe living in the depths of the Amazonian rainforest. And it has already been used to help 23,867 people of all ages to lower their blood pressure quickly, easily, and safely. Plus, what's even more amazing is that despite the incredible results that this method has achieved, it can be put into practice from the comfort of your own home, without the need for any medication of any kind, without the risk of any side effects, and without having to see any more doctors at all. So be sure to keep watching, because whether you've been suffering for 1 week or 10 years, are 30 or 90 years old, have mild or chronic hypertension, or are suffering from moderate to severe side effects because of your meds, I'm going to show you a fast, simple, and proven way for you to dramatically lower your blood pressure, transform your overall health and well-being, and potentially add years or even decades to your life. And you can do it in just 17 days. So put any plans you have on hold for just a few minutes and get comfortable, because it's absolutely crucial to your current and future health that you watch every single second of this controversial presentation, because it could save your life. Hi, as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, my name is David Riley, and the 56-year-old man I told you about earlier, who was able to dramatically lower his blood pressure and transform his long-term health in just 17 days, and with no medication in sight, was me. And I'm going to reveal exactly how I did it in just a second. But before I do, I just want to say that I completely understand if you're feeling a little bit skeptical right now. After all, what I am telling you today pretty much flies in the face of everything you've previously been told by doctors, specialists, and the medical establishment in general. In fact, if I were watching this video just 6 months ago, before I'd been able to experience this life-changing treatment for myself, I would have been skeptical too. To be honest, I wouldn't have believed it at all. Because like millions of my fellow Americans, I've been effectively brainwashed into thinking that medication was the best way to achieve a fast and permanent improvement in my blood pressure levels. But thankfully, I had an open mind. I put this treatment to the test, and it worked better than I could have ever imagined. But don't just take my word for it, because it has worked for a whopping 23,867 other people too. People like Gail Stevens and her husband Brian from Flint, Michigan, who wrote in to say this: "Hi David, when I read your story I realized just how similar it was to my husband's condition. He had uncontrolled blood pressure for years, and the doctors kept doing the same tests over and over, and when they couldn't figure out what to do, they just gave him more medication. He also had 2 stents put in, and his carotid artery on the right cleaned out. Despite the medication he was on, he never felt well and eventually had a TIA, which terrified me. The doctors didn't seem to have any idea what to do other than to double or even triple his meds. After discovering your program, his BP came down from 200/140 to 130/80 in just 3 weeks. The difference in his health and general well-being has been phenomenal. Thank you so much." And then there's Mariela Dominguez from Mitchell, South Dakota, who said, After being diagnosed with high blood pressure in 2010, my life has been one big worry. I discovered that I was allergic to all ACE inhibitors after a series of severe reactions. Despite going from drug to drug, nothing seemed to work. I would often feel dizzy and would pass out. I'd also feel a numbness in my limbs. All the doctors ever did was give me a different drug. They didn't seem to even consider any other options. Luckily, my brother found your website, and the change since has been incredible. My blood pressure went from 190 over 140 to 125 over 80 in just 15 days, and my health improved so much. Everyone who suffers from HBP deserves to know about this. And Joan Thomas from Jefferson City, Missouri wrote in to tell me this. I used to be fit, strong, energetic. I absolutely loved life. I'd never really been ill. But after being diagnosed with high blood pressure, everything changed. I was prescribed 8 different medications within the first 3 months, and all I could hear was everyone shouting, "Stroke." Although the docs kept pushing me to take the meds, I was falling apart. I was constantly fatigued and weak. My muscles wasted away, and I went deaf in my left ear. Eventually, I blacked out while shopping and woke up in the ambulance. I promised myself I would find another way to treat my blood pressure. And fortunately for me, I found David's website. Since then, my blood pressure has dropped significantly and my health has improved immeasurably. I'm so happy now, and I am returning to my former self. But I'm still bitter and angry about the medical profession's obsession with drugs and the fact that they constantly ignore natural treatments that are proven to work. David, thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking on Big Pharma and bringing this program to the American people. Those are just 3 of the real-life success stories that I've received over the last few months after deciding to make this secret treatment program available to the public. I can literally show you thousands more. But what you're probably wondering right now is what this method actually is, and how a regular and unremarkable guy like me with 0 medical knowledge or training came to stumble upon it. Well, I'm going to reveal exactly what it is in just a moment, as well as how it came to fall into my hands, thanks to the hard work of a respectable and hardworking cardiologist and hypertension specialist, who was forced out of his job because he wasn't prepared to bow to the wishes of Big Pharma. I'm also going to provide you with the medical research that proves beyond all doubt why this method is so successful in lowering blood pressure. Research that will both shock you and probably make you extremely angry, because if you'd known about it sooner, you wouldn't be suffering the way you are now. So what is this secret treatment, and how did an average guy like me become the first to experience its incredible health benefits? Well, here's how it happened. Back in June of 2003, I was a fit and healthy father of 3 celebrating my 44th birthday. Or at least, I thought I was fit and healthy. Because what should have been an enjoyable, fun-filled day for my wife and children turned into the beginning of a 12-year nightmare, where I was rushed to the hospital after developing an excruciating headache, shortness of breath, tightness in my chest, and a nosebleed. I thought I was having a heart attack. As I was whisked off to the emergency room, my youngest son Dominic took my hand, looked me straight in the eyes, and said, "Daddy, please don't die." It brought tears to my eyes, because for a good few minutes, I thought I might. I really thought the jig was up. But it turned out I was okay, at least for the time being anyway. When the doctors took my blood pressure, it came out at 210 over 140. I didn't even know that this was dangerously high until they told me. As you probably know yourself, high blood pressure, or hypertension to give it its medical name, carries no symptoms, which is why it's called the silent killer. So if you've never had your blood pressure taken, you'll only find out about it when it suddenly hits you like a 10-ton truck. That's what happened to me. I had a stressful job, a recent death in the family, and 3 kids to look after, but I had no idea my blood pressure was such a problem until that day. But I left the hospital relieved that it wasn't a heart attack or a stroke. After all, it was just high blood pressure. How hard would that be to keep under control, right? Well, a lot, as it turned out. Over the next 12 years, I was put on a variety of medications, from ACE inhibitors, angiotensin receptor blockers, calcium channel blockers, beta blockers, and diuretics. Sometimes I was on 6, 7, or even 8 medications at once. And during these years, I lost any faith I ever had in the medical profession. Not a single doctor had even a basic understanding of nutrition, even though changes to diet and lifestyle are scientifically and medically proven to control blood pressure. Instead, all they did was prescribe drug after drug just to get me out the door. The problem was they didn't seem to have a clue how my body would react to each one. It was like they were using a suck it up and see approach. It was just trial and error. But hey, it wasn't their body they were playing around with, so what did it matter? I went through so many different meds and suffered from a whole range of different health problems. There were so many, I had no idea whether they were side effects of the medication I was on, or simply my body breaking down as the result of hypertension. I experienced chest pains and irregular heart rhythms that scared the life out of me. My legs, hands, and feet went numb for days at a time, at which point I was just given another round of meds. One drug turned me into a walking zombie, where I couldn't think, focus, or remember anything. I developed erectile dysfunction, which stressed me out even more. I was moved on to another drug to counteract that, which created a whole heap of new side effects. I was feeling wretched pretty much every day, unable to escape the vicious pharmaceutical cycle that I was now trapped in. Another incident saw my sodium levels plummet, and my creatinine, urea, and potassium levels all came back abnormal. A specialist told me that if I hadn't been scheduled for a blood test when I was, my kidney function would have failed totally. Panic and anxiety took over my life. I was worried about what my blood pressure meds were doing to my body and whether they might be the leading cause of all my problems. But my doctors were adamant that if I came off of them, I'd put myself at serious risk of a stroke or a heart attack. I felt completely trapped and powerless. I was damned if I did and damned if I didn't. And then, just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, I got the biggest fright of my life. I was rushed to the hospital with a transient ischemic attack, or mini stroke. The brain can't function without a steady supply of oxygenated blood, and my high blood pressure had led to a blood clot, which had briefly blocked the flow of the blood to my brain. Over the next year, I suffered 2 more TIAs. Each time, I came out okay, but I knew I'd been lucky. I might not be so fortunate next time. The physician told me I was facing a full-blown stroke, or even a heart attack, and it could strike at any moment. But his only solution was more meds. Like many people with high blood pressure, I was a ticking time bomb, and I knew I needed to do something about it, and fast. But what? Clearly medication wasn't the answer. Nothing had worked up to this point, and if I continued along this road, I knew I was heading for an early grave. So I decided to take my health into my own hands. I scoured the internet looking for natural ways to treat hypertension. I read every research paper and analyzed hundreds of clinical studies. I visited my local library and combed through dozens of dusty old medical books. I tried every food, natural ingredient, herb, plant extract, or supplement that even remotely hinted at being able to treat high blood pressure. But then, just when I was close to giving up, something extraordinary happened. I stumbled upon an old and forgotten article from 1988, which would finally put me on the path to optimum health. It was an interview with a Dr. Miles Channing, cardiologist and hypertension specialist. According to the article, back in 1982, Channing was the lead researcher on the INTERSALT study, which sent an international research team across the world to explore the link between salt intake and hypertension. The study comprised 10,079 males and females, aged from 20 to 59 years, belonging to 52 populations in 32 countries in Africa, the Americas, Asia, and Europe. During the study, which lasted 6 years, a remarkable discovery was made. It was found that a tiny, isolated tribe living in the rainforests and mountains of northern Brazil had 0 cases of hypertension. This tiny tribe were known as the Yanomamo Indians. In fact, their average blood pressure came out to an astonishing 103/63, compared to the average of 120/74 for all other 51 populations. And what's more, their blood pressure did not increase with age. Whatever they were doing had literally left them immune from hypertension. But here's the thing. Although the study confirmed previous reports that high blood pressure could be lowered by reducing salt intake, and this became the standard advice given out by the medical establishment for the next 30 years, Dr. Channing knew that it wasn't just a low salt intake that had managed to eliminate hypertension from the Yanomamo Indian population, because other groups he'd studied consumed barely any salt at all. Yet there were still numerous cases of hypertension within those populations. And this is where things got really interesting. Because according to the article, when the research team left Brazil, Dr. Channing stayed behind and spent the next 3 years studying the diet of the Yanomamo Indians in an attempt to find the secret to eliminating hypertension from Western society for good. During his studies of the Yanomamo Indians, Dr. Channing discovered that higher protein diets with high fiber intakes led to a massive reduction in high blood pressure risk, which was supported almost 30 years later when a study carried out at the Boston University School of Medicine and published in the American Journal of Hypertension in March 2015 reported a 59% risk reduction. Dr. Channing also discovered that the Yanomamo Indians' diet was rich in a little-known antioxidant known as coenzyme Q10, which is found in cold water fish like salmon, tuna, and herring, as well as dark leafy greens, nuts, shellfish, pork, chicken, and beef. And once again, a study carried out at the Cardiac Surgical Research Unit at Alfred Hospital in Melbourne and published in the Journal of Human Hypertension in April of 2007 supported this, concluding that coenzyme Q10 was able to lower systolic blood pressure by up to 17 points and diastolic blood pressure by up to 10 points. In fact, over that 3-year period, Dr. Channing was able to pinpoint the exact foods, herbs, spices, berries, and seeds that prevented the Yanomamo Indians from ever becoming hypertensive. He knew he was onto something potentially groundbreaking. He believed that he could eliminate hypertension for good, just as the Yanomamo Indians had done, so that no one would ever need to take blood pressure meds ever again, or have to suffer the horrible side effects that comes with them. So Dr. Channing put together a definitive list of ingredients proven to lower blood pressure and reduce any risk of hypertension. The article concluded with Dr. Channing stating that he intended to publish his research. As I read the final paragraph, I was overcome with excitement and shocked at everything I had just read. There was hope at last. I had been through hell for 12 years, but it turned out that there had been a proven way to beat this thing all along. But why hadn't anyone told me about it? Why didn't the doctors know about this? Why didn't everyone on Earth already have access to this information? It would have saved millions of lives. I couldn't understand it at the time, and I researched relentlessly for Dr. Channing's follow-up research, but I couldn't find any mention of it anywhere, or him. Where was the paper that Dr. Channing was planning to publish all the way back in 1988? I couldn't find it anywhere. So I decided that I had to get in touch with Dr. Channing myself. Here was a natural and completely safe way to beat hypertension. I simply couldn't let that opportunity slip through my grasp. So I searched for a way to contact Dr. Channing, but there was no sign of him anywhere, no references to his work, no contact details, no mention of him anywhere. Maybe he had died. But if so, why wasn't there any mention of him? It seemed like the guy had simply vanished into thin air. But why? This was a respected cardiologist, medical researcher, and hypertension specialist, with an unrivaled reputation, decades of experience in his field, and a man who had been involved in one of the most comprehensive and successful hypertension studies of all time. But he had all but disappeared. I couldn't understand it. I tried to contact the people behind the INNERSALT study. I wrote letters and emails to former members of his research team, and to the medical schools and research institutions that had any kind of link to the study, and I left hundreds of messages. I received nothing back. And then, when I'd all but given up hope, I received an anonymous email. It simply said this: "Hi David, I believe you've been trying to get in touch with me. My number is..." The email was signed Dr. Channing, and he left a phone number for me to contact him on. Excited what he might have to tell me, I called the number immediately. And what followed was the most incredible conversation of my life. Dr. Channing explained to me that back in 1991, after completing his 3-year study into the Yanomamo Indians, he decided to return to the U.S. and put his research to the test. Working out of Harvard Medical School, Dr. Channing set about trialing his new diet, based on what he'd discovered studying the Yanomamo Indians, on 237 patients with various degrees of hypertension. Within an average of just 17 days, each and every patient lowered their blood pressure levels dramatically and effectively reset it permanently. Blood pressure levels fell from 210/140 to 115/68, from 200/135 to 118/70, from 190/120 to 116/74, and so on. And most importantly, stabilized. The results were astounding. Dr. Channing knew that he discovered a treatment that would send shockwaves through the medical community, a 100% natural and side effect-free treatment plan that would allow anyone, regardless of age or gender, to lower their blood pressure quickly and easily, and return themselves to optimum health in a matter of days. And crucially, eliminate the need for blood pressure meds completely. After completing the pilot study, Dr. Channing told me that he'd requested funding from Harvard Medical School to perform a larger study and get the results published around the world. But after waiting for months, his request was denied. As it turned out, although the head of his department had been blown away by his findings, when he'd taken Dr. Channing's proposal to his bosses, he was told that while they supported his research in private, they couldn't publish it, and they wouldn't be providing any further funding. I asked why that was, and the response still shocks me to this day. Apparently, Harvard Medical School wouldn't publicly support Dr. Channing's research because his treatment plan didn't include any medication. I sat there open-mouthed as Dr. Channing told me why. It turned out that 75% of the medical school's funding came from pharmaceutical companies, and they made it crystal clear to Harvard that if they allowed Dr. Channing to publish his research or even continue his work, every single cent of that funding would disappear overnight. Disgusted by the situation, Dr. Channing quit and never returned to medicine. I was shocked at the time, but as Dr. Channing explained the situation, it all made perfect sense. The last thing that Big Pharma wanted was a natural treatment plan for hypertension that could be categorically proven to work. Because blood pressure meds, like ACE inhibitors, angiotensin receptor blockers, calcium channel blockers, beta blockers, and diuretics, rake in billions of dollars every year. In fact, to give you an idea of just how much money Big Pharma are making from this market today, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, a whopping 70 million Americans now suffer from high blood pressure. That's 1 in every 3 American adults. And that's not to mention all the medication that's prescribed to treat other health conditions that are caused by high blood pressure, like angina. coronary artery disease, irregular heart rhythms, kidney failure, erectile dysfunction, stroke, neuropathy, osteoporosis, and much more. With a cash cow like this, there was absolutely no way that Big Pharma were going to allow anything to threaten it. But that's exactly what Dr. Channing did, because way back in 1994, he decided to make his treatment program available to the public. He created a simple, easy-to-follow guide that showed people how to lower their blood pressure naturally, without meds, and started handing it out in hospitals, medical centers, and clinics. But as the word spread about the results that people were getting, he was threatened and warned to keep his mouth shut. Cars would follow him. He started to receive silent phone calls, anonymous letters, and eventually he was forced to go into hiding when his family were threatened. That was 20 years ago, Dr. Channing said, and I haven't dared to speak out since. I just couldn't risk it. As I listened to Dr. Channing's story, I was desperate for him to help me, and I practically begged him to share his treatment program. After telling him about my struggles with hypertension and the side effects I'd encountered from all the medication, Dr. Channing agreed to hand over his program, but with only one condition. I did not give you this, Dr. Channing said. I am not legally responsible for what you do with it. This is on you, he said. Of course, I understand completely, I replied. 3 days later, and I received Dr. Channing's program in the post. The exact superfoods that Dr. Channing had discovered during his study were all there. Every ingredient, combination, and amount required were laid out, with detailed meal plans for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, as well as snacks and drinks. I was also shown which supplements to take, how many I should take, and exactly when I should take them in order to maximize their efficiency. My wife was as committed to the new diet as I was and helped me prepare all of my meals. Straight away, I found myself constantly checking my home blood pressure monitor for any change. Day 1, 2, 3, and 4 passed, but there was little difference. But Dr. Channing had told me that it would typically take around 2 weeks before I noticed any real effects. But then on day 5, something remarkable happened, and it continued every day for the next 2 weeks. I literally couldn't believe what I was seeing. But my systolic and diastolic blood pressure readings began to steadily fall, day by day. I went from a frightening 220/140 down to 140/90 in just 5 days. And over the next 10 days, my blood pressure continued to fall, until it had reached a perfectly healthy 113/71 by day 17. But not only that, I could feel the benefits too. Over the next few days, I felt like I was being reborn. My energy levels were up, my chest felt less tight, I was more alert and focused. My memory started to improve, and all of the feeling came back to my limbs. My kidney function bounced right back to where it had been more than a decade earlier, and my erectile dysfunction, which had troubled me for many years, finally disappeared. I was a new man. My wife was stunned at the difference, and so was my doctor. He said that in all his years of practicing medicine, he had never seen such a transformation in someone's health in such a short space of time. Not wanting to jump the gun too soon, I waited until 30 days had passed to see if my blood pressure was still stable. It was. It was showing 115/68, so I called Dr. Channing to tell him the good news. He picked up the phone and simply said 3 words. Worked, didn't it? I was laughing and crying at the same time and couldn't stop thanking Dr. Channing for helping me. We have to get this out there, I said to Dr. Channing. There are millions of Americans suffering right now who need to know about this. He finally agreed after much deliberation to allow me to put it online for all to see. But they'll find it, Dr. Channing replied, and they'll get it taken down. They always win, David. With Dr. Channing's help, I worked solidly for 9 weeks to turn his original treatment plan into a comprehensive, step-by-step, and easy-to-follow system for treating high blood pressure without any medication at all. And we called it Dr. Channing's Blood Pressure Protocol, a natural, safe, and scientifically proven program for lowering blood pressure from home. This protocol contains the exact step-by-step process that I took to lower my blood pressure from a dangerous 220/140 all the way down to a safe and healthy 115/68 in just 17 days. And it stayed at a healthy level ever since. Dr. Channing's blood pressure protocol succeeded in just 17 days where medication had failed for 12 years. And I want you to experience the same benefits yourself, starting today. In the blood pressure protocol, you will receive Dr. Channing's Yanomamo Food Guide, which includes the most up-to-date and complete list of Dr. Channing's miracle ingredients, scientifically proven to lower blood pressure. These are the exact same ingredients consumed by the Yanomamo Indians, a small and isolated tribe who still live deep within the Amazonian rainforest and have 0 cases of hypertension. As well as this list of power foods, herbs, seeds, plants, and berries, you will also be given Dr. Channing's Hypertension-Busting Recipe Guide, which comes complete with 21 delicious and easy-to-prepare recipes for lowering blood pressure, including breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And finally, you will also receive Dr. Channing's Super Smoothie Bible, which contains 17 recipes for tasty and nutritious shakes, which will allow you to reach your blood pressure target even faster. And they really work. A recent study published in the journal Hypertension found that drinking a 500 milliliter cup of beetroot juice cut systolic blood pressure by 10 points and diastolic pressure by 4.8 points in just 3 hours. And that's just one ingredient I'm talking about. In Dr. Channing's Super Smoothie Bible, you'll receive dozens of power foods, all clinically proven to lower blood pressure, and you'll be able to combine them together to achieve maximum results. Remember, this protocol is 100% natural, safe, and side effect free, so there is absolutely zero risk. And if you're worried that this protocol might be tough to follow, don't. We're not asking you to completely change your diet. All you need to do is simply swap out certain foods for others and add a few other natural, safe, and inexpensive foods, herbs, seeds, berries, and other natural ingredients, which are all available from your local grocery store, and for no more than a few pennies. That's literally all it takes to start lowering your blood pressure in the next few days and transform your health, both in the short and long term. Just imagine how that would feel. Imagine knocking 50, 60, 70, or even 100 plus points off your blood pressure readings in a matter of days. Imagine the relief at watching those numbers fall day by day until your doctor gives you the all clear in no more than a few weeks from today. Imagine being able to dramatically reduce your risk of succumbing to any number of deadly health conditions like stroke, heart failure, aneurysms, kidney failure, and more, and turning your health around in an instant. Thousands of men and women just like you are doing exactly that right now, thanks to Dr. Channing's blood pressure protocol. People like Lainey Peters from Austin, Texas, who said, "Hi, David and Dr. Channing. I just wanted to thank you for such a fantastic program. In just 4 weeks, I've reduced my systolic blood pressure by 77 points and my diastolic pressure by 63 points. And the difference in how I feel has simply been amazing. I've been put on 9 different meds in 12 months alone because I wasn't reacting well to them. But thanks to your treatment, my doctors say there's no need to take any of them anymore." He didn't believe what he was seeing. And then there's Jeffrey Beal from Columbus, Ohio, who wrote in to say this, "Hey, David, my dad was recently diagnosed with stage 3 hypertension, 176/111, and had a cholesterol level of 259. Naturally, he was desperate to get these numbers down, but he'd heard so many horror stories about BP meds and their side effects, and he wanted to try the natural route first. I was skeptical, but I found Dr. Channing's guide and showed it to my dad. Within 6 days, his blood pressure started to fall, and by day 14, it was down to 125/80. A week later, it was at 118/72, and it has stayed around that level for a few weeks now. I'm so glad I found your guide. I dread to think where we'd be if we'd listened to our friends and gone down the meds route." And Michael Lander of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, had this to say, "3 years ago, I was diagnosed with hypertension with a reading of 160/100. I used to feel dizzy a lot, had awful cramps in my legs, and my potassium levels were very low, causing my fingers and toes to always cramp together. One day, I started to feel really faint while I was driving with my daughter in the back seat, and I passed out, hitting 3 cars and ending up in a ditch. From that moment, I knew I had to do something because my meds weren't working. I'd heard about your diet from a friend and thought I'd give it a shot. The results had been remarkable. In just 21 days, my blood pressure went from 175/100 to 125/70, and I honestly can't remember feeling this good. Thank you so much, David." I have thousands more success stories just like those, from people all over the world, thanking both myself and Dr. Channing for developing this blood pressure lowering protocol. And because of the results people were getting, together with the risks we were taking in putting this program out there, I'm sure you can understand why we originally considered charging as much as $597 for it. After all, each individual ingredient contained within the protocol has been scientifically proven to lower blood pressure in clinical trials. So when you add a whole bunch of them together and consume the recipes consistently, the enormous power of this treatment program is pretty clear to see. But there's something that's more important for you to understand. I didn't create this program to make money. I did it because after discovering the dramatic effects for myself, I couldn't, in good conscience, deny other people the same opportunity to transform their health, just as I've been able to do. And the last thing I wanted to do was price people out and deny millions of people the chance to experience what I've experienced, a return to full and vibrant health. So for that reason, I'm not going to ask you to pay $597, even though that's still well short of what this program is actually worth. In fact, I'm not even going to ask for half of that. For 1/10 for that matter. Instead, you can pick up Dr. Channing's blood pressure protocol for a one-time payment of just $37. And all you need to do is click on the Add to Cart button below. When you do, you will be sent straight through to our secure checkout page where you will be able to order your copy. From there, you will then be redirected through to our exclusive members area where you can download the entire protocol to your computer, mobile, or tablet and start lowering your blood pressure and boosting your overall health and well-being in the next few weeks. But that's not all. You see, I understand that you may be a little skeptical right now. After all, the entire medical industry, which is bankrolled by Big Pharma, has repeatedly told you that the best way to manage your blood pressure is with medication. Sure, they can tell you to cut out salt, eat healthy and exercise, but that's it. Despite the incredible advances in nutritional knowledge that have occurred in the recent years, the medical industry never give you a proven nutritional program for lowering your blood pressure. Don't you think that's strange? It's as if they don't want you to get better, right? Well, they don't. Because if no one suffered from hypertension and many other health conditions that go alongside it, then Big Pharma would lose billions. That's all they really care about, and it really makes me sick to my stomach. But at the same time, I understand that the myth is strong. It's deeply embedded in American culture that drugs are the answer to all our ailments, because hundreds of billions of marketing dollars have been spent by Big Pharma in order to perpetuate this lie. You're bombarded with ads every day, on TV, in magazines, and online, all pushing the latest medication. So, if you're still a little unsure that this protocol can produce the kind of results I've talked about during this presentation, then I don't blame you at all. They want you to be skeptical about natural treatments after all. But don't worry, because I'm going to remove 100% of the risk and offer you a 60-day money-back guarantee. If you don't achieve the results you want, you don't pay. It's as simple as that. So go ahead and put Dr. Channing's blood pressure protocol to the test. In the comfort of your own home, try out all the ingredients, delicious recipes, and smoothies. And if your blood pressure doesn't return to safe and healthy levels within those 60 days, and you don't notice a massive improvement in your overall health, then simply email me at the address provided in the members area, and I will refund every cent of your investment with no questions asked. And that's how confident I am that you're going to absolutely love this program. Press Add to Cart below. And don't forget, there's no guarantee that this website will still be up tomorrow or even in the next few hours. Big Pharma will find it, and they will force me to take it down. I won't be able to compete with the power and force of their legal teams, and I can't risk the safety of my family or Dr. Channing's any more than I have already. So right now is the time to make your decision. And you have three options. You can continue to do what Big Pharma want you to do and carry on taking your medication. But remember, if you continue down this path, you'll be on that medication for the rest of your life. You'll never be free, you'll never be healthy, and you'll never again be able to live life to the fullest. The chances are you'll experience crippling and painful side effects, if you're not already. And by failing to give your body the nutrients it needs to heal itself and choosing to paper over the cracks with toxic drugs instead, as Big Pharma wants you to do, you'll inevitably start to suffer from further complications, and your risk of ending up in an early grave will rise dramatically. We're talking about a stroke or an arterial aneurysm that could leave you in a wheelchair, unable to speak, eat, or function normally. Life as you know it will be over. Or maybe you'll succumb to chronic kidney failure or even cancer, which will slowly eat away at your organs and leave you in agony for the remaining months or years of your life. Or, of course, you could go quickly thanks to a heart attack. These are the risks you're taking if you continue doing what you're doing. Or there's option 2, where you choose to travel to the Amazonian rainforest, seek out the Yanomamo Indians, and then spend the next few years analyzing their diet, just as Dr. Channing did, which will eventually allow you to work out which natural ingredients, combination of ingredients, and specific amounts you need to dramatically lower your blood pressure and effectively eradicate hypertension from your life, just as the Yanomamo Indians have. Or you can take the third option, press Add to Cart button below, and invest a measly $37 to get Dr. Channing's blood pressure protocol sent direct to your PC, tablet, or phone within the next 2 minutes. And remember, you can put it to the test completely risk-free for a full 60 days. The risk is all on me. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. Imagine a life with no more meds, a life with no more pain, discomfort, and inconvenience brought about by many different side effects of drugs. A life that you will get to fully enjoy again, with no more worries about whether you'll be struck down by a TIA, stroke, aneurysm, heart attack, or kidney failure. A better life awaits you. Improved health is just around the corner. All you need to do is click the button. This has been David Riley, and I look forward to hearing your success story very soon. Still here? No problem. I understand if you've been a little taken aback by everything you've just seen and heard. After all, it's a lot to take in. I get that. And you'll probably still have a few questions that you'd like answering. So, to help you out, I've compiled a list of the most frequently asked questions that I receive. To begin with, the most common question I get asked is, what will I receive when I order Dr. Channing's blood pressure protocol? Well, you will receive Dr. Channing's Yanomamo Food Guide, which comes complete with the most powerful ingredients on the planet, clinically proven to lowering blood pressure quickly and safely. These are the exact same ingredients consumed by the Yanomamo Indians, a small and isolated tribe who still live deep within the Amazonian rainforest and whose diet has made them literally immune to hypertension. As well as the main guide, you will also receive Dr. Channing's hypertension-busting recipe guide, which includes 21 delicious and easy-to-prepare recipes for lowering blood pressure. You will also get Dr. Channing's Super Smoothie Bible, which contains 17 powerful and nutritious smoothie recipes, so you can reach your blood pressure target even faster. Probably, the second most common question people ask me is this: if this protocol works so well, why haven't Big Pharma licensed it themselves? Good question. And to answer that, it's important that you understand that natural ingredients cannot be patented. It's illegal to claim any kind of ownership over a natural substance, which means the pharmaceutical industry can't patent them and therefore can't make money from them. And if they can't make money from them, they're not interested. It's just that simple. But more worryingly, whenever a natural product comes out that is proven to improve any health condition, Big Pharma will use all of their financial clout to challenge the results or block its release, because the last thing they want is for people to stop needing their drugs. But what you also need to realize is that practically every health condition on Earth can be improved through natural ingredients. More and more scientific studies are proving that nature has the answer to pretty much every illness and disease in existence. And as Dr. Channing discovered himself while studying the Yanomamo Indians, nature has the answer to hypertension too. A lot of people also ask me if the protocol will work for them based on their individual circumstances. They will tell me their medical history, blood pressure readings, and the side effects they've been experiencing from all the drugs that doctors have placed them on. My answer to that is that we are all human beings and we all function the same way. So generally speaking, any nutrients that produce results for one person will produce similar results in another. Of course, we won't all achieve exactly the same results because some of us will have higher blood pressure than others, or will have different complications besides hypertension. But the fact is, I have not had a single email from anyone telling me that this protocol didn't work for them. And almost 24,000 people have now used this program. So, while I can't promise you that it will work for you, the evidence is there that it will. And hey, if you don't achieve the results you're looking for, it's not a problem, because your order is fully protected by my ironclad 60-day money-back guarantee. And that's another question that I often get asked. Is there any risk? Well, as you've just seen, the answer is no. There isn't any risk at all. If your blood pressure doesn't return to safe and healthy levels and you don't feel the benefits of Dr. Channing's protocol in the next 60 days, then all you need to do is email me at the address provided in the members area, and I will refund 100% of your investment. The truth is, if this program doesn't work for you, I don't want your money. It's that simple. Finally, people often ask me how long the program will be available for. My honest answer is that I don't know. As I explained earlier in the presentation, Big Pharma went after Dr. Channing with all they had back in the 1990s to stop him from releasing his protocol to the world. They forced him out of his job and into hiding. And his treatment plan, which was the direct result of studying the Yanomamo Indians for 3 years, disappeared with him. After finally tracking down Dr. Channing and turning his original treatment plan into a thorough and fully comprehensive resource for lowering blood pressure quickly and safely, I know for a fact that Big Pharma will be back. And I won't be able to fight them off for long. So if you want a proven, natural, and 100% safe way to lower your blood pressure quickly and easily, and transform your health in the process, then I urge you to order now while you still can. To get started, simply click on the button below, and I'll see you on the inside.